In my video last week, I talked about some decks that have an insane amount of potential. Today's video, I'll be discussing the decks that are completely cooked moving forward in the Cardfight Vanguard Divine Z meta. Now, when I say completely cooked, I'm talking about right now, in the future, up until they get some very fantastic support, or just something broken to bring these decks back to life. So before we get into that, you already know what's coming next. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Do not forget to hit the notification bell so you guys are always hearing newest videos coming out, because we've got a lot to unpack today, and hopefully you get something out of it. Dragon Empire is a nation that's popping right now. Shoujo Doji's getting some fantastic support. We have Shiranui doing good. Varga's doing good. Varga's getting support. We have the new Fated one, which is Alki Libra. Thank you so much to this person for telling me how to pronounce this card. Dragon Empire, to me, doesn't have like a weak deck right now. It does have two decks, however, that I feel like are going to become irrelevant in the future if they don't get some very broken support, or in one person's case, they're just completely outclassed. Now, before I go off on the second one, which I have a lot to say about, I'm going to talk about Dragonic Overlord The End. At this point, you know, about a year after, or maybe a year and a half its introduction, Dragonic Overlord The End to me just feels completely outclassed and overpowered. We have so many Vanguards right now that say, at the end of the battle, restand, draw -1. Lyrical is getting a new grade 3 that restands, 5k permanent crit. Lutetia is a very fantastic Vanguard. Gets the new upgraded version, has the restand effect, and it makes it better as well. Avant-Garde got some really fantastic support earlier from Brantgate. Like, there's so many other decks right now that do what Overlord does. And I understand that Dragonic Overlord at the end is like the basis for all of these restanding Vanguards, right? But they all do something extra on top of the restand that have just been making these decks do better than Dragonic Overlord at the end. And even with its own nation, it got outclassed. Varga is just a way better Overlord. It has the divine skill to give you 3 Vanguard attacks. The playstyle is extremely early game aggressive, built into the ride line, and just how the deck operates, because once your opponent hits grade 3, your first Persona right turn, you're trying to win the game. Dragonic Overlord The End requires a little bit of setup and more rear guards on the board to make those better numbers and to push for the win. And while the deck can maintain its twin drive consistently, the cost isn't as expensive, and you get some card advantage compared to Varga from your restand and the support that you have right now. I just feel like everything is just better. Everything is a better Overlord than Overlord, and at this point, it's just time for this deck to call it quits. Even with the new Drago Resonance order that I see people teching into the deck, giving a short 10k push, I just don't feel like it's enough. I feel like Overlord needs something specific, rearguard-wise, or even Vanguard-wise. I think they'll just probably do a rebirth that can do a 3 Vanguard attack itself under different circumstances. It just needs something to like breathe life back into it, because right now the deck is completely cooked. You're playing so many other things that can do a better job, and I just don't see Overlord having any competitive viability again without that. And the second Dragon Empire deck that gets on my nerves every time I talk about it, I have to cut the music because it's that bad, is Eugene. My problem with Eugene, I have stated in multiple videos, is because Eugene is a deck that receives continuous direct and indirect support, 2 promo cards, as well as a new ride line on top of that, all for it to go down the garbage. I'm not sure who at Bushiroad is obsessed with this deck, but Eugene keeps getting all this like really strong support that just doesn't work because Eugene itself sucks. Oswald is a fantastic card. The new grade 2 is a fantastic card. The grade 3, like Direct-C Search Out, the best order that Dragon Empire has to offer, the one that lets you, every time your opponent retires, you draw a card. You get that directly to your hand, except for Regalia's piece. You have a Blitz order for yourself. Like, Eugene has so many cards directly for it, indirectly for it, to support this playstyle that does not work, because the Vanguard itself is bad. You outclassed it with Gandiva, and every single support that it gets, I've just noticed lately, has been like a Eugene-Gandiva hybrid, because even the developers know that when they brought out Gandiva, it was going to outclass Eugene right away, because Gandiva was a Counterblast 1, and just did everything that Eugene wanted to do with all of his rearguard support. And I don't understand why we just cannot get a new Eugene. It's been almost 3 years now, and this deck is still not playable. And it's not playable because the rearguards suck. No, once again, the rearguards are very good. You have a Vanguard Restander, Rearguard Restander. You have a unit that powers up itself to extremely high numbers. You have a Soul Charge and Draw. You have a new Ride Line piece that boosts up consistency. You have, I think, a built-in Countercharger. You have a Recycler. Like, Eugene has every single thing a deck could want, but because the Vanguard is so bad, you can't take advantage of any of it. And every single modern day Eugene deck I see is some sort of like incoherent or inconsistent mess because Eugene has so many good cards that literally they just cannot simplify the ratios to play at. Therefore, at this point, if you're not going to give Eugene a new form, stop giving Eugene a new support. Stop giving it promo slots because the deck is unplayable and it's not going to see competitive play until you give Eugene a new form. Kyr Sanctuary is very interesting. Honestly, after seeing my last video and all the comments you guys had to say about it, I sat here and started looking at Kyr, like, what are some decks that just actually are not doing well? And I'm gonna have to come out and say it, but I think that Gravia is also a deck that's cooked. I'm not gonna lie. Unlike everything else like Grom Grace or Youthberg, Gravia keeps receiving very fantastic support for its specific playstyle. The consensus that I keep getting when I talk to people about this deck is the fact that despite the new promo being a fantastic consistency piece to help get your like, you know, triple Vanguard swing combo plays going off or whatever, it's still very slow. And then it needs to see that grade 1 to actually do something. So Gravia definitely needs something to help speed the deck up faster to keep up with the other Kyr decks that are out now. Because Youthberg's a little slow, but Youthberg, like, if played properly, can go to full blast like very quickly and get the full benefit of that and make good numbers. Blue Orb we already know is good. We already know Res Vial is good. Yeah, I just think that Gravia is cooked up until it gets something to help speed the deck up faster. And until then, it's a no-no in Kyr right now. For Brantgate, now like I stated earlier, if you guys don't know, I'm not a big Brantgate fan, but I will say this, after like playing it a couple times, trying it, I'm sorry, but I feel like Gravia is cooked. It has one of the worst mass forms that I've seen apparently. Although it has multi-attack now, apparently the old one is better. You kind of like use the mass form depending on the situation you're going, or you commit to building like a version of the deck that's completely focused on it. I read the mask. I also seen some people play it. I've played against the deck. I've never played it myself because I just didn't have an interest to do so. But I haven't, Gravidia's new support doesn't really do anything. I've heard it's a -2. The draw power isn't that good outside of the Meteor. Gravidia's effect, the original one is actually being dubbed more powerful than the mass variation. And this deck has been out for about over 8 months now. So I haven't seen any massive change for it. They have a fantastic grade 1 and grade 3. They improve their offense. They make really good numbers. They have high crits. Gravidia at one point was one of the best decks like in the format, but that's like very early on into like the overdress season. It just hasn't been able to come back to popularity or in terms of like playstyle for an upgrade ever since then. I definitely am on the train that Gravia is a cooked deck until it gets something like broken or at least like a new form to make it better, because it's kind of like in the same boat as Eugene where there's a lot of like Gravia Meteor support and they all do different things, and depending on the next Gravia that comes out, whether it be a new grade 3 form or like maybe a grade 4 form, hopefully we're not doing that crap anymore. But if it gets any sort of like evolution, it has a good enough card pool to make that new form of Gravia work in the future. But as of right now, Gravia to me just is like it's not worth it to play in Brantgate. Up next we have Dark States. Now Dark States currently cooked deck, definitely without a doubt, is Baphomedes. You guys have been asking me, at least a certain group of people have been asking me to, you know, try to make a new Baphomedes list. I cannot. I'm telling you, I can't. I really can't. I've tried my hardest. The problem with Baphomedes is its playstyle. The deck is reliant on you getting grade 3s into Soul to acquire 2 very powerful effects, which is the shield for all of your grade 3s, as well as the triple guard for the Vanguard attack. It's really nice to have, and those are really neat skills to do. But the problem is that the generic grade 3 support for Dark States is so bad, I cannot get it to work with Baphomedes. The only way that this deck is sort of getting to see any sort of like play at all is if it gets the Bastion treatment, but if it gets the Bastion treatment, it needs Bastion's like 2 best cards, which is the Sapient Owl. If you give us a Sapient Owl for Baphomedes, then the deck obviously will go up tenfold in terms of playstyle. The consistency will be really great. You'll have access to 10k shield right away from different cards. That'll be fantastic. The grander edge for power and shield. It may be like something to help the playstyle. And then just something to be a card advantage boost or a multi-tacker, because bad for meaties being able to have that Vanguard attack. If it's going to be a 3 Vanguard attack deck, like at least give it something like busted so that it can do that. Because otherwise this deck is just going to fade into obscurity like it already is now and just be unplayable for a very long time until we finally get some like generic grade 3s in dark states that are good. But at that point it'll be too late for this deck to even make a comeback. And obviously, whenever I do these discussion videos, I save the best for last, Stoicheia. The worst deck right now in Stoicheia definitely has to be Maelstrom, and I'm also going to put Flagberg in there. I feel like Maelstrom and Flagberg are two Aqua Dragon decks, or Tier Dragons in this case, are very bad. And they're bad for different reasons. Flagberg is just bad because Flagberg, you know, it does its shenanigans, but the deck is still extremely expensive in terms of resources. You still have to set up for it. You still have to see certain pieces to get it to work. But once you get the Vanguard going and your board doesn't get messed up, it's fine, you know, it does its own thing. Maelstrom is just bad because Maelstrom as a Vanguard is just very weak. And despite Maelstrom getting that new grade 2 card in the next set, the new grade 2 is literally just a call out to rear and then give yourself 5k shield, but it already has the power up that Tsunami Brave Shooter was giving. So I know what the card can offer. It's just a defensive buff for the deck and a little bit of a consistency buff too, because your discard for your Maelstrom skill gives you another body on board, so that this way you can maintain your 4 to 6 attack formation for the deck if you're playing Maelstrom properly. The defensive skill is very much welcome for Maelstrom. It's nice, but it's not what Maelstrom needs. Maelstrom needs an evolution form like what Venus Luque is getting. It needs Glory Maelstrom, and Glory Maelstrom needs to have a very powerful effect that rewards you for playing those orders in the deck and like does something for it in the future. I really do feel like Maelstrom and Flagberg are like the worst decks in Stoicheia right now, because Zorga's really fast, Claudina's a rush deck, it moves really fast, you're just gonna drop tokens, spam, spam, spam. Roroa's fast because of the new grade 1 that puts the grade 3 right away, so you get the critical, the power, and the draw, you know, right there. Also, you're going to eat up all of your rear guards, so losing the rear guards in that deck isn't really detrimental, and you can build up a bigger hand size, and you're rushing your opponent so hard in the early game already that, like, if you can survive just one Maelstrom turn, I feel like you should be fine with Aurora. Obviously, Magnolia, I discussed that Magnolia, I feel like is getting stronger because the new support is in the right direction. I've been keeping my eye on the deck for a while. What else is there? Velino. I never talked about Velino, though. That's the Blitz order deck. Velino just got a new reviver. She also has a better battle phase attack piece. And the deck has a bunch of defensive options for any situation that, like, Maelstrom and Flagberg, if they don't receive, like, something to, you know, boost the deck's consistency just a little bit more, not so much, like, draw power, but, like attack power for both of those decks, I just don't see them moving forward in the future. Because I haven't heard about Flagberg in a long time, and Maelstrom we already know is getting support, but it's not enough to really get the deck like popping again. It needs Glory Maelstrom, and then Flagberg just needs a power boost to make it better. All of these decks, as of right now, in my personal opinion, are just cooked. I don't think there's any way of them having any sort of competitive viability again without some form of broken support or a new form to get them to start popping again, because they're just that far behind compared to everything else. And I am aware that there are a handful of people out there that will debate me on this. They'll give you their opinions about the decks and sort of the explosive plays they can do. I'm very open to hearing about that. Like I said, Thagria is a deck I don't play that often. I've never touched Gravidia. I'm just going off of what I see and sort of the response that I'm getting, you know, word to mouth for those situations. So if you're a Thagria and Gravidia player and you have like the secret sauce to make these decks pop, please let me know down, let everybody know in the comment section below. But as of right now, these are my stance and opinions on the decks that are completely cooked up until they get some new support. With that being said though, card fighters, I'm gonna let y'all go. Y'all enjoy a great day. Keep on card fighting. I'll catch you later. Peace.